And like you said, this also opens the door to having like maybe have 3. But like let's not get wild. We're talking like Thursday, Friday night here, people.
Tonight, we're talking first and foremost about Penelope Valencia. This is kind of cool if you guys are watching a video. We've got the bottle up here in front of the camera. Really stunning bottle, got some etching. But most importantly, it's kind of funny because I love the graphic, but it's a little suggestive if you like don't know they're oranges. But that's up to the viewer. Valencia
a little
is
artistic license.
yeah. It's good that they're like off balance. But Valencia is the Vino de Naranja finished bourbon from Penelope. Penelope, as you guys know, is from New Jersey, headed up by Michael and Danny. This is a sweet wine that's macerated in orange peels. It comes from Europe. They're taking those barrels once dumped, bringing them over to the US, putting their whiskey in it. Part of the Cooper series, we're giving it a go. I've had a pour or two. I think you've had a bit more than me. We know that it's at least 4 years old and it's non-chill filtered, but I'm curious how the sweet wine does.
Yeah, so I think this is one of the very few things that Penelope has done that is not at cask strength. I don't know why that is, actually. This is something that I've been meaning to talk to Mike and Danny about and say, hey, what the hell? Give me a little bit more background on this. But I'm very excited to dig into this one. I've most certainly been sipping on this. I was thinking that to be honest with you, full transparency, a little scared that this is going to be too sweet. This would be overly done for me. And not that I don't like sweet things. I mean, obviously, as a dude who goes by the Bourbon Finder, I like sweet liquor. But I like things that are sweet in the sense that there is nuance sweet and or layered flavors in there. Not that something that is necessarily like a maple finish or honey finish thing that is overtly sweet. So I was a little bit scared of this. And as I have gone through it, I found that like the orange character is really interesting in that it's present but not overpowering, to the point where the first time I noticed it, I was almost like, is this really like bringing the orange layers into this or not? As I go through it, it does. Like it also kind of enhances this like mild nuttiness that's in the background of the blend, and I kind of like how there's like a little bit of an offset to it. So as we dig in a little bit and talk about flavor profiles, I'm excited to see what you think of this.
Penelope is interesting, and I agree with you. I believe that their rosé is also not cask strength. I will have to check on that. I know we've covered it in the past. I think that there's a lot of merit to not always releasing finished stuff at cask strength, because when you do, you have to bring in a lot more of that wine flavor, potentially.
Right.
Not always the case, Starlight is a distillery, I think, that's kind of killing it with the wine finishes, but they do a very good job because they also know wine really well. Like they've been doing wine way longer than they've ever been doing whiskey. So that's kind of a different case study. Overall, it's interesting to see, on one hand, I'm surprised that Penelope went for Vino de Naranja. On the other hand, I'm not. Like the guys went and bought a winery so they could make more rosé, to make more of their rosé cask, to make more of their rosé bourbon, which they've had out for years now. So they were kind of on the forefront of these really unique finishes.
Right.
Even though they don't have a wide portfolio, they don't have like 32 of these things like other producers do. But when they find something they like, they do it right, in my opinion. So hopefully we see more of this. My first tastes are really positive. I like this a lot. I was drinking it actually a little bit. I did a first taste when I was talking about Wilderness Trail on Whiskey Raiders not too long ago, but it's cool to see him experiment. I do like it. It brings a lot of orange to it, and not in the way like Dickel bourbon does, that's unfinished, where it's kind of like orange peel and minerality and slate and stuff. Like this is a very bold bourbon that has nice pangs of orange and like some rock candy and some nice, not quite acidity, but it's very well balanced. Like it's sweet for a moment, then it's tart, then the bourbon comes back through. It's nice and oaky, despite the fact that, they say it's at least 4 years, so there could be some older stuff in the blend. But I think that the way they're doing blending takes to these kind of wonky finishes and these sweet wines really well, and that they don't get too sweet.
I'm with you. Okay, so if I was going to break this down just on the nose alone, while I did already mention that I feel like there's a subtle note of like a nuttiness to this, I think that mixes well with the oak. I think there's also a little bit of something that I draw from wild turkey expressions pretty frequently, in that I would say it's a mild, like toasted pecan note, where other folks may call this pecan, which is just something I can't totally wrap my mind around. But if I start to really dissect this, I feel like I would describe this as something that has a definite orange background to it, but not like in an artificial orange way. I would think like if you take a, what are the little oranges, like not the mandarins, but like the ones that you get like
Tangerines?
the halo, like the halos. No, not
Clementines.
Clementines. The little clementine orange. When you peel that sucker back, and it's just the orange in your hand, and none of the peel anymore. Just the orange itself with a little bit of the flesh there. You have to break it into the segments there afterwards. I get like a little bit of that type of kick, like a little bit of that like totally peeled clementine type of thing going on, and not in like a sweet way, and not in like a totally citrusy way either. And it works very well with the oak structure in this. And there's just like enough of a kiss of vanilla in the background that it really kind of rounds it out.
It's extremely well balanced. It's one of the more well balanced wine finished whiskeys I think I've ever had. And honestly, at 97 proof, I think it's proofed really well. Like you can, we talk about this more and more, and I think the older we get and the more whiskey we drink, chasing the proof dragon isn't the end all be all. Because that means I really like this and I can have a second glass and tomorrow isn't ruined.
Right.
If you really enjoy that pour of that 140 proof thing, you're out of luck. That's
Right.
a lot
Totally.
of ethanol. But at 97 proof, it can hold up in a cocktail. I tried this in various things. I haven't figured out where it works for me in cocktailing. I thought it'd be kind of fun because it does have that orange character. I was like, ooh, we're 2/3 of the way to it's like an old fashioned, but I haven't made it work yet.
Okay.
I'll post that recipe when I do, but I think that it's
TM.
got the viscosity and it's got enough oak and body to it that I don't wish it was higher proof to feel more complex or more balanced. Like this is very well balanced as it is.
That's fair. I think you kind of kicked open a door that I hadn't even considered with the cocktail side of things. I'm almost thinking like Gold Rush or like Kentucky Corpse Survivor. Like do one of these with a honey syrup and lemon type of deal. Like that could totally be cool. I could see how that would work out in a way that's nice, where you get a little bit more of that citrus kick to it. You're bringing in the higher proof, not like crazy barrel strength. And like you said, this also opens the door to having like maybe, we're talking like Thursday, Friday night here, people, like maybe have 3, but
Yeah,
let's not get wild, right?
It's a huge difference between 97 proof and 130 proof. Those are big differences. And honestly, some nights when we might set up a couple glasses and try a couple things, it's nice to know that the thing you enjoyed, you can go and be like, all right, this was my favorite. And now I can just have a pour of it while I watch TV or I finish the workday. And the tomorrow isn't going to be hell on earth because, ethanol adds up quick, especially in these high proof cast strength. When I see dudes doing flights of like 6 cast strength bourbons and I'm like, oh boy, that's a big deal.
Have fun on Wednesday morning, asshole.
Yeah. Like it's not even hump day and tomorrow's going to hump you for sure. Cause
Hump day.
that's a lot. But yeah, I mean, to bring it back to the whiskey, I really, I was afraid it was going to be too sweet. I was afraid it was going to be too orangey. I think this does great. It has essence of orange, which I think is really important. That tangerine note, that clementine note you pointed out is really spot on. This is like bourbon with essence of orange. And I think that's a great way to kind of describe it because it's got the bourbon notes, it's got the orange notes, neither overpower each other, and it's enjoyable enough and dry enough on the finish that it leaves me wanting to go back and, have another sip or a whole nother pour.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I think this is overall totally a positive. The price point on basically everything Penelope is doing actually is really good. They are spending so much time on the blending side of this and the research side of it and making sure that what they're doing is good. And in the few times they're putting out something that isn't totally on par with what is amazing, the next time around, they're adjusting it from there. Like, I mean, we've had these guys on our show before on Weekly Whiskey on YouTube, and they've said like flat out, when we started, we had no fucking clue what we were doing.
Right.
but we have grown from there, and like we learn from our mistakes, and like they mean it. And I think that it kind of shows in this, like, this is a really kind of like cool product. It's balanced, it's unique, it's fun. I have a hard time saying like don't go buy one of these, because even if it's not your cup of tea where you want to have one of these every like Tuesday night, you might think, holy shit, I tried this in XYZ cocktail and it was the coolest thing that's happened to it. I think you will find a spot on your bar for this bottle easily.
I agree. And I like to reward innovation, not in like a let's throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, because clearly they don't do that, but they make educated guesses. And when a cool opportunity arises, they give it a go. And, you know, they admit like this could flop, but on paper, we think it works. And we personally would like to see this product on the market. Like, let's give it a go. And I think they're getting closer and closer every single time into like, not what is a sure bet, but they've done Tokai, they've done VDN, they've done Rosé. Like they know what they like, and they're getting quicker on the hits every time. Like, you know, now when they have a crazy idea, I'm like, yeah, I bet that's definitely going to work, because so far the track record for wine finishes for them has been excellent. And yeah, this one's a little more expensive, but VDN casks are super expensive. You know, those Vino de Naranja casks are not cheap, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All in all, I'm a thumbs up on this one.
Yeah, I'm a thumbs up too. This is honestly, people think fruity things only work in the summer. I think this has enough oak and spice that this is perfect as the weather drops. It gets cooler. Like I said, I'm still perfecting my Valencia Old Fashioned. I know I can get there. I haven't gotten there yet, but I live in Wisconsin. I have a bunch of Old Fashions in front of me before the spring comes, so I look forward to giving it a go. Overall, I'd say pick one up. Give it a go.